Welcome back to the Jeff Crilley Show. Everybody knows about 911 and 411, but do you know what Texas 811 is? My next guest, Scott Finley, is with Texas811.org. Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Okay, so what is Texas 811?
811 is a national number, the same as you mentioned in the 911, 411, 211 family. Anywhere in the nation you call 811, you'll be sent to a local call center. The 811 call centers process requests to have underground lines and cables located before anyone does any digging or excavation around them. So we're the Texas nonprofit.
Wow, and this absolutely saves lives.
Absolutely, it saves lives. Nothing will ruin your weekend faster than hitting a gas line somewhere. We ask everyone, to call in to 811 to get underground lines located because it is a free call, and the service, the line locating service, is also free.
Wow, you have a day coming up, 811 Day.
We have 811 Day coming up. That's August, the 8th month, and the 11th day. For the third year in a row, we will have our logo up on the side of the Omni Hotel, the 26-story performing side. It can be seen for miles and miles and miles at night, and it's just a reminder to people to call 811 before you do any digging. And that means anyone from contractors and professional excavators down to homeowners. And I have a homeowner horror story to tell you in a little bit. So.
Wow. Well, are you a government agency, or how do you guys work?
We are actually, like I said, we're a nonprofit. We have over 1,600 member utilities in the state of Texas. Gas companies, electric companies, they're required to be members of an 811 system. So for every incoming call, and the way a call works, maybe it's easier to explain that. Someone calls us, and they're going to do a dig. We take their information down. It takes about 5 minutes, plot where that dig is going to be, and then our software can show us, well, we've got X, Y, and Z utilities right in that area where you're going to dig. So what we're going to do is we're going to issue you a ticket number, then we're going to issue those 3 utilities the same ticket number. Those utilities, it's their responsibility. They have 48 hours to come out and mark or flag where their utilities are. And those are the small flags, right. Red, yellow, orange, that you see in the ground around construction sites everywhere.
And I've seen before, like, little kids playing around with those flags. I mean, that's got to drive you guys crazy.
Yeah, and it happens. I was at a home and garden show in Denton a couple of months ago, and an 8-year-old boy came by, and he was interested in the flags and things, and I told him the story, and he said, wow, I'm going to tell all the kids about this at school on Monday. I said, that's great. He said, you know what else I'm going to tell him? I said, no, what? He said, I'm going to tell him not to pull the flags up out of the ground anymore. And I said, well, that's a start. So, yeah, please don't pull the flags up out of the ground.
Right.
They're there for a reason.
And so how long have you been with Texas 811?
Just under 3 years.
How did you find the job?
They needed a writer, and I was able to do some freelance work for them, and they liked it enough that they brought me in full time.
It's got to be very rewarding to get up knowing that you're doing something that really saves lives.
Oh, absolutely it is. Knowing that no one is going to be burned or electrocuted or building damaged or destroyed simply because someone took the time to call 811 and get a locate request done, so they know where those buried lines are. And one thing we also ask when you do have the locate done and the flags are out, that you dig very carefully, hand dig down until you expose where the line is. Don't just say, well, it's marked, I'm going to jump in there with a backhoe right now and just dig down to it. Hand dig down to expose it.
Absolutely. Scott Finley is my guest. He is with Texas811.org is the website. Well, you said earlier in the program that you were going to tell me a story that would hit home.
This does hit home. This was about a year ago. I was speaking to a group in an East Texas town, and a gentleman came up to me afterwards, and he said, I always call 811 now. And I said, well, that doesn't sound encouraging. What happened? He said, well, my wife and I bought a tree at a garden center, and we took it home, and I just set it up on the front porch. And then he said, me being me, I just left it there until she finally came out one Sunday and said, plant the tree. And he said, it's Sunday, I don't want to plant the tree. She said, I don't care, plant the tree now. Fine. He gets his shovel, he goes out to the right-of-way strip between the sidewalk and the curb, right? And then you've got the street. So he goes out to the right-of-way strip because he sees other trees growing in the strip. He thinks, fine. He throws his shovel into the ground, and 4 inches deep, he cuts a fiber optic cable.
Oh, my.
It was only 4 inches deep, sliced it in half. So he killed not only internet and cable to his house, he killed it to the entire side of his street, from the intersection to the intersection. So the whole block's without it at this point. And he doesn't do it on just any Sunday morning. He chose Super Bowl Sunday morning to do this.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's all gone. So there was a call. There were calls made. Other locators had to come out and locate where the gas lines were, where the electric were, et cetera, et cetera. Then the utility company, the cable provider, had to come out. They had to locate the rest of their line. They had to trench it out. They had to lay in a new line because you can't splice fiber optics.
Right.
So they tied it off at the nodes at either end of the block. He says, the good news is everyone got the Super Bowl that evening. He says, the bad news is until I get it paid off, I get a general reminder of the $6,000 repair bill.
Wow.
On his statement. So, yeah.
That's amazing. What a great story. Tell me, when a backhoe hits one of those lines, does it cause an explosion? What happens?
It can ignite, and I'm sure we've all seen on the news that you and I both came from a broadcast news background. You've seen the video of, and it's pretty spectacular stuff. Yeah, if you spark it, you can certainly ignite it. If you're lucky, it doesn't ignite. It just hisses and blows up out of the ground, and then you just need to clear the area. Call 911 first, and then call the gas company because you'll have a good idea whose line you hit, and then call us to let us know. Any strikes on oil or gas lines in the state also have to be reported to the Railroad Commission, Texas Railroad Commission. They keep track of all of that. And even with everything we do to prevent such hits, last year Texas Railroad Commission recorded about 9,000 hits on oil and gas lines in the state. Yeah.
Wow.
And they count a hit as nothing more than scraping the coating off the side of a pipe because that protective coating is there for a reason. Then you get to let rust in, et cetera, and deteriorate the pipe. We took just under 3 million incoming locate request calls last year, and we are the largest 811 center in the United States, if not in the world. We're open 24/7, 365. It doesn't matter.
Tell us how that works. So somebody can call at 3 in the morning?
Somebody could call in at 3 in the morning. There's someone there to take your message, someone there to take the locate request, and then it's a 48-hour wait. Generally, you have to give them 48 hours. So if you were to call in today on Saturday, well, they don't count Sunday, so it would be Monday, Tuesday. It would be Tuesday at this time, Tuesday at this time that you would have the lines located. If you called in on Friday, it would be Monday.
And then if somebody does hit a line, how long does it take to repair?
It depends. If it's not flaming out of control, the gas company can come out, and because the lines they use in residential and other such areas are a heavy plastic type material, they squeeze off that line just the same way you would take a garden hose and close it between your thumb and forefinger to cut off the flow of water. They use a device, and they'll cut off the flow of gas, and then they will make a splice and repair it.
How long has the 811 system been around?
The 811 number just celebrated its 10-year anniversary. Before that, it was a series of different numbers all across the nation, and the FCC mandated that 811 be used in the United States for notification of underground lines and digs. We were known as 1-800-DIG-TESS, TESS was our old name, and many people still remember us as 1-800-DIG-TESS, and if you dial 1-800-DIG-TESS, you'll get us still. That line is still active. But when the FCC mandated 811, then everyone in the United States, Texas 811, South Dakota 811, West Virginia 811, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Now you're wearing your logo right now. How often when you're out in public and you're wearing your shirt, do people say, "What is that?"
Almost all of the time people say, "What is that?" And you have to explain I had no idea that existed because we don't get a lot of press. And that's my job as a manager of media and PR is to get the word out about this. We've been doing a series of events called Mock Line Strike and Pipeline Response in which we actually bury a line, pressurize it with air, put lime powder into it, and then show people what happens when a backhoe hits it. So you've got this nice plume of the white lime powder going up in the air to show you. Wow. And some of these scenarios get pretty intense. We did one down in Pearsall in far south Texas last year that ended up with the operator of the backhoe was down, and then his spotter managed to get away out of the fumes, but the premise was that it was very poisonous fumes coming out of that. And the fire department then came out. They had to secure the scene before they could get to the guy. And by the time they got to the guy, they had to bring the gurney out because he was dead. So they rolled him off. A hearse drove up. And all of the audience got just quiet as a church when the hearse drove up, and they put the man in, and they had the grieving wife there. And the point of the scenario was that's how quickly it can happen. You need to call 811. You need to pay attention to what's down there. The United States, there's about 100 yards of buried pipeline or cable for each man, woman, and child in the United States. Texas has 1/6 of it.
No kidding.
Is all underfoot.
I guess if you've never seen a subdivision under development, you really have no idea how many lines and like underneath a typical home in Dallas-Fort Worth, how many lines or cables are running to that house?
There's no way of telling because there's so many little feeder lines too that are running off of the main supply lines. An example, we live in Lakewood. In Dallas, older subdivision, 1920s, actually early 30s, and had our water supply line replaced to the house. So I made the 811 call, and within 48 hours, I had Atmos Energy marked clear and AT&T marked clear. So there was nothing there. So then the plumber could actually do his trenching, and replace what turned out to be the original 80-year-old water supply line to the house. Right. Which was in really bad shape and needed to be replaced. But everyone's utilities are underground at some point everywhere.
Wow. You've been a great guest. Tell us again about 811 Day.
811 Day will be August 11th. That's the national day for remembering 811 system. Again, anywhere in the United States that you are, you need to call 811 to get underground lines located. Call us. Visit our website at texas811.org.
You've been a great guest. We'll have to have you back on again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up next, it's not too late to take that dream vacation before the kids go back to school. My next guest will tell us what the deals are. Just ahead on Jeff Crilley Show.
You're listening to The Jeff Crilley Show on Talk Radio 1190.